everybody, welcome back to the Dice Tower. My name is Zee Garcia.
And I'm Camilla.
Today we're taking a look at AI 100% Human. This is a card game in which you are going to be representing an AI. You are an AI, and you are puzzling through AI algorithms in order to put together the best tableau and score the most points.
Draft the best, play the best, score the best.
Bam. Okay?
Theme.
It's a card game with cards with abilities, and you're trying to get the most victory points. We'll come back around to the theme in a little bit. But for now, let me go ahead and show you what the game looks like on the table, give you a quick little overview, and we'll be right back. The game's going to be played over 2 large rounds of drafting, with round 1, drafting going in this direction around the table, round 2 going in the opposite direction. Every player begins with 1 AI card in front of them. These 3 cards making a column over here, and there is an imaginary grid here that's going to be 3 tall, you can use these for that, by 5 across, this card being in the middle, so 2 cards should fit there, and there can be 2 more after that, okay? 5 by 3. So at the beginning, every player is dealt 4 of these cards from the stack number 1 over here, and they're going to keep 2, and they will put those to the left of their divider card. Ooh, shiny. And we are going to be using deck number 1 for the first half, deck number 2 for the second half. This is a scoring opportunity that everyone will have access to after the first half, and then that'll go away, and then this one will be for the second. Once the whole game is over, then you can score based on this starting AI card that you have. So everyone is dealt 7 cards from the deck. You are going to put them to the right of your divider, and then every player simultaneously is going to, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there we go. Every player simultaneously is going to select one of these cards. They're going to move it from this side of your divider to the other side, to your reserved side. You are going to pass the other cards to, in this case, the player on my left, and then everybody is going to play one of their reserved cards, meaning the one you took right now is not necessarily the one you play right now. You've got a little wiggle room because you have a little mini hand you can keep, okay? So the cards are going to have a few pieces of information. They'll have a color, they'll have a number in the corners there. They'll have a scoring condition in the center. It's very symbol heavy. There's a breakdown right here of quite a bit of symbology, as well as a breakdown of all the meanings of all these things in more detail in the rulebook. So, for example, my 2 starting cards here say that I'm going to get 3 victory points for every yellow card, and this here means in this row. So wherever I play this, I'm going to get 3 points for a yellow card in that row, okay? And then this one here would be 3 points for every 2 corners like that are blue and green, okay? And I can check every row for that. Great. So let's take a look at what I've got. I'm going to go ahead and keep, I'm going to keep this one. Okay, I'm going to move it over here to this side of my my divider. I take the rest of the cards. I pass them along to the next player, right? This player over here is going to give me some, so they're giving me, they would give me 6, right? There's 6. So they would put 6 right over there. And then we all will play one simultaneously. So for me, for example, I will play this card right here. I'll take it, I'll reveal it, and I have to play it adjacent to a card already played. In this case, I put it right there. And then everybody is going to check the scoring, okay? In this case, I do not have this ability. I have no green and no blue, so I'll get nothing. And you score those points up there. Perhaps the other players get a point or 2, and they would track them along. Then I get my new hand. We all pick up our new hand. We take a look, and maybe I'll do, let's see. Things start to come together as you play. So this is 4 for 2 red. I'm not really going into that. Red and yellow. I have got some yellow, so maybe I'll start working on that one in the future. I pick those up. I pass this along. A player would have already taken that. I place that there. I have a new incoming one. And then maybe this time I play this card. There we go. I play that one, and that one says I get 3 points for every 2-3 combination anywhere. Or rather, I guess it's in a column. But this means because they're arranged like that, they don't have to be in any specific pattern, okay? So maybe I don't want this here. Maybe I want it there. That would be good. And that way, I have a 2 and a 3. This is a 3. This is a 2 in a column. I get 3 victory points for that. So I'm starting to make some victory points. I'm planning here for my next draft to take something and then maybe play this one here. Because if I play that, I'm going to get 6 victory points for this yellow card and this yellow card. That's why I wanted this one here, but I wanted to get these points too, right? Maybe not. Maybe I'll wait. That's the great thing about having a hand of cards is you can kind of wait on this one. At the end of the hand, when you're down to having been passed a single card and taking that card, right? It would look something like this. Then you'll play one more. At that point, you're going to have 8 cards in front of you, 7 you drafted, and then the starting card. And then the ones left over in your reserve hand do go away. You're going to lose them. You'll make a new reserve during the second round of the game. And then we're going to score this right here. In this case, 4 points for 2 cards in that arrangement that equals 6, sum up to 6. Right, so for example, let's say I'd done that. Great, 3 and 3, that's 6. I'd get 4 points for that. And once that's done and we've all scored it, we are dealt cards from the other one. We'll do this scoring at the end. We'll fill up this 3 by 5, and then whoever has the most points after that scoring is, of course, going to be the winner of the game. There are a variety of these scoring cards. I just happen to pick a random one for number 1 and a random one for number 2. And there's also a variety of these starting cards or even double-sided so that you get to decide which thing you are going for. But that is generally the overview of the game. Let's go ahead and go back up top. So this is one of those games that for me, if I had not played it, if I had not been sort of like, had an opportunity to sit down and be shown the game, I feel like I might have overlooked it because of the title and because of the cover.
Okay, I'm with you on the title. I 100% would have...
100%
human would have overlooked it based on the title. But the cover I actually really like. I find it striking. It's a good balance of not too much. It's not overwhelming. I find it very sleek and elegant. So I do like the cover, but I think the title's a pretty big miss. Yeah.
Right, and then thematically, that's the other big miss for me, is that, I'm not really sure what the theme is. They explain it in the rule book, but it's sort of nonsense. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, we need some kind of theme so that we can give you cards and you stick them in your tableau and make rows and columns and score stuff.
Yeah.
It could have been anything, and I'll be honest, I wish it was something else. I really do. Because I'm going to have a harder time both teaching this game and convincing folks to sit at the table and play it with me because of the theme. Well,
I think on that too, that extends a little bit past that even, I think, to the visual look of the cards is not very attractive either. I think they're very functional, and once we get to the gameplay, I think they serve that purpose very well. But just if somebody walks by and sees you playing this game, they're not going to stop and go, ooh, what's that? Sure. That looks good.
Because they won't know what they're looking at.
Right. And the second part is the rule book can be overwhelming. If you sit down, if you pull this game out to play and you look at the rule book, you're like, whew, that's way too big of a rule book. Flip side of that, it goes over every card. I love that. As a reference, it is fantastic.
It really is.
But I feel like that reference should have been out of the book. It should have been like 2 separate books because when you put them together, it's very like, oh my gosh. And that's actually some feedback we just got back from the Dice Tower Cruise where some people played this as well. And that was their exact feedback was, well, that rule book was just intimidating. And then we got going. We're like, oh, that's it. That's nothing. And so it is kind of a barrier to entry. I think the look of the cards, the just how big the rule book is, and the title.
Yeah, it looks daunting. Yeah.
Right.
However, I think the gameplay is quick and clever and very punchy. This is a game that every time I play it, I am surprised by how quick the game is. It's 2 rounds, you draft 7 cards each. Right? So you're drafting like 14 cards. You begin with one in the middle, so you make 15 cards.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there's one in the middle.
So you're drafting 7 cards, draft and play twice. That's the whole game.
Right.
But every single one of those drafts, every turn, every time, and you're all going simultaneously, basically, you are engaged, you are thinking about something, okay? It has a tremendous return, time investment to return ratio. It really does. One of the best, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
You know?
I think absolutely. And I feel like this is one of those games where every decision matters. We'll play sometimes and games will take a lot of heat because I'm like, oh, you have that wasted turn. There's not a wasted turn in here. If you have a wasted turn, that's going to haunt you for a while, because every card placement does matter as these cards score off each other. And that's what I really like. I really like the emotional kind of range of this game.
Okay.
You'll have a couple little turns where you're building and you're building up to that one great, 16, 18 point scoring card. Sure. And then boom, when that triggers, it feels so good. But it might be more than once a game that you have that,
right.
as you're different drafting. And so it has a great cadence to it of building and balancing strategy with the cards in your hand. But as you're drafting new options into your hand, you can be really tactical as well.
Right.
If you get that perfect one. So I really like that drafting element where you're going to draft a card, but you don't have to play that card exactly.
Yes, you can keep a card. Right. You have a hand of cards.
Yeah, so it's all about that sequencing too.
Yeah.
And it's really rewarding for the time investment for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I think it's interesting that you have that long-term goal. They really they do a nice job of sort of giving you one thing at the end of the game you'll be scoring. That it's your own, only you can touch that. It begins in the middle of the table. You have something that scores at the end of round 1, after those 7 cards, and at the end of round 2, after those 7 cards. And then every turn you play, you really should be scoring something.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Should be scoring a few points. And you, like you said, are building up. Ooh, man, once I drop this card, it's going to give me 4 points for every yellow card in its column.
Yeah.
Or in its row or whatever. I could do it now. But I could play this yellow first, and that's another yellow. And you're doing this gray sort of, the game has a wonderful sense of tension, but it's with yourself a little bit. And then you get that every time you're passed a hand also, especially once you know the game well. You're like, thinking, yeah, I could keep this, but this is such a good ability. The rest of the card doesn't work well with what I'm doing, but the ability's fantastic. And it does a lot with very little. That's kind of the mantra of this game, is it does a lot with very little.
Right. I think one of my favorite card types in here as well are the black ones, in which is going to score or at least check one of your neighbors. And I like that as well because it's a way to have player interaction, knowing what they're building to, wait to play those cards without it feeling like negative player interaction. As well as, it is a drafting game, so you have to be kind of cognizant of what the others are doing around the table, because I've definitely been in a game before where someone gives me the perfect card. My scoring went from like a 4 to a 16 because of the card that they passed me and I could place it. Now, I don't think you're looking at everyone else's tableau that much. That was one of those one-off, but that moment, we talked about that emotional journey, it was so high. They were like, oh, I can't believe I did that. And I was like, I'm so excited. It's just, this game has a lot of high highs.
Yeah, and those cards, I like that they're in there because they sort of give you that, they built into the game, hey, you should check before you pass this card.
Yeah.
If it's really good for them. They're going to be scoring off of you, off of your stuff. Look over there before you just give them, something they need. And again, it manages to, without being mean, have a little bit of that feeling of interacting with the neighbors.
Right.
Yeah, I really enjoy that as well. Anything else you want to mention?
No, I can jump into final thoughts here if you want.
Yeah, I'm going to jump into the final thoughts myself here. I like this kind of game a lot, okay? It reminds me of a few other things. It reminds me of Reef, the board game. It reminds me of that a little bit. It reminds me of, cards with powers and sort of, building combos that have to do with the geometry of what you're putting out in front of you. I like that idea. The game takes a few hits for me. Like I said, thematically, it's just kind of boring. It's a boring theme, and it's unfortunately not just that. I'm worried it might be an off-putting theme to some people, where it'll be a barrier to entry. The game doesn't feel super original, and the things that are interesting and original are small. And they make a big impact once you play, but they don't sound like a big deal. Mm-hmm. Like in this game, you draft, but then you can keep that card and play one of those 3 you're holding now. Okay? That doesn't sound like that big a deal.
Doesn't sound like it.
It's a big deal. That's a great
huge
thing. It gives you the ability to shape upcoming turns,
Yeah.
right? Mm-hmm. So all those things put together give me a game that I'm always happy to play, and I worry about who I might be able to play it with because of those caveats. Okay, so for me, I'm coming down at an 8 on this one. I enjoy it. It's one I will definitely always be happy to show people, and always be happy to hear, which we did a few times on the cruise, as you were talking about, that someone has discovered. Because I'm worried it's going to be a bit of an under-the-radar critical darling, but not necessarily a commercial success, right?
I can see that, yeah.
You know, so yeah, for me, you should check it out. I think you're going to enjoy it.
I'm coming with a seal of excellence on this. It's going to be an 8.5. I'm in a similar boat where it's taking a couple hits. We talked about the artwork, the lack of theme on the cards specifically, the lack of theme, the title, and also I think it has a lot of symbology in it, which makes it language independent, and that's fantastic. But it does kind of have that learning curve to it for ultimately a pretty straightforward game.
Yeah.
Those hits aside, it's still a seal of excellence for me because I absolutely adore this, and it's not my style of game. It's not one that I gravitate to. I don't like just cards with numbers.
Yeah.
But this one just seems because of that tension, it gives you a combo-tastic, like a roll and write combo-tastic feel, or a draft and write, something like that.
Yeah.
When you get that perfect card, you just, every turn you're playing, you know you have that great turn coming. You're just building up for it, and you're just feeding into it. When it does trigger off, you know, you're like, boom, for this and this and this, and I got it here and here, and it's perfect. It's just, it feels so good. So it's the same feelings of a combo-tastic game. Now, this one is not, of course, it's the scoring-tastic, I guess we'll call it.
Right,
you know? And I really, really like that for the simplicity and, like you said, the little bit of innovations that make such a big difference. I mean, I don't know why all drafting games don't come with that little card separator. These are my cards, and these are the ones I can draft from. So you see all your options without feeling overwhelming. In these kind of games, I'll use Earth, for example, something like that, where every card does something different and interacts with the other cards. It can feel so very overwhelming to have to see your 100,000 different choices. I don't get that feeling from this because you do have that overall strategy that you're going for, and you're just allowing for a little bit of flexibility depending on what card options come your way. And I think that helps mitigate that feeling as well. So for me, this is a not in my wheelhouse kind of game that I absolutely adore. I definitely see myself bringing it to the table, showing new people these games at conventions and stuff like that, probably because they're not going to pick it up themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to do it. So I really enjoy this one, 8.5.
Very nice. So there you go, folks. That is AI 100% Human. Gets a seal of excellence from us here at the Dice Tower. Make sure you check this one out, okay? Do not let this one pass you by. If you enjoy these kinds of games, you owe it to yourself to see what this one does. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. So there you go. That's going to do it for us, everybody. Thank you once again. My name is Zee Garcia.
And I'm Camilla.
We'll see you at the table. Take care.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. And you can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you, and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vassell.